Yo, what's up guys, it's your boy NotZay, back again with another basketball video, and today we'll be talking about the Phoenix Suns and pretty much their future. And I wanted this to start off a series that I was going to be doing with basically young teams that are on the rise, and not just basically look at their young pieces, what they can become, and basically what they are now, and then what the team should be looking forward to in the future. So to start with the Phoenix Suns, you can't really start anything with the Suns without talking about Devin Booker. Right now, he's their go-to scorer. He's a three-point assassin, as you've seen. He just broke the three-point record with 28 in the final round, which is insane. He has that dog mentality about him. That's something that's really underrated. He has that Mamba mentality, that MJ mentality, to where you just want to go at everyone. And he's really confident in his game, which is something that you need as your primary scorer. He's shown flashes of being a really nice ball handler and a really nice passer, and he has the potential to be like a 30-plus point scorer in the NBA, kind of like a James Harden type of scorer. And I believe he can become the best player on a winning team. He pretty much can score in any way possible, and he's like sneakily athletic. But my only questions with Booker is defense, because it's pretty bad, but it's improving at the same time. But I really don't think it can get worse from what he showed us last season. But as I said, he's an okay playmaker. He's averaging 4.8 or so, basically 5 assists per game, as basically the Suns' point guard until they acquired Elfrid Payton. But the turnovers, he almost averages as many turnovers as he does assists, which is unacceptable. But even though, I think the turnovers should come down organically with time and as the roster changes, because teams won't be able to pretty much focus their defense on Devin Booker, hopefully, because hopefully the Suns do their job and develop the roster around him. Alright, so basically the next guy we need to talk about is Josh Jackson, because he's pretty much the second best player, the player with the second most potential on this team. And I just think every team needs a tough defensive guy who can guard multiple positions, and that's what Josh Jackson is. He can guard the 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I'm not sure about now, but I'm sure when he reaches his peak, he'll be able to switch on to some small ball centers or something like that, due to his athleticism and just his wingspan and all those kind of things. He's super athletic, and like I said, that aids him in switching around, and also aids him in becoming a good rebounder, because he's pretty much averaged around 6 rebounds per game, and recently he's been grabbing a bit more. And he's a solid playmaker, even though the stats may not show that. These last couple of games, he's been getting around 5 assists per game, which is solid from a wing who does not have that ball handling ability quite yet, because his ball handling ability, it's there, you can see it in spurts, but it's not really developed yet. And he takes it to the cup fairly strong. He's a pretty good slasher at this point, actually, even though he's not really gonna create for himself very much. And here's the bad part about Josh Jackson: he can't shoot. His bad free throw shooting may indicate that he won't be able to shoot in the future. And sometimes he gets a little bit turnover prone and reckless with the ball, basically because he might have a bit of tunnel vision at times, and that could lead to turnovers. I could see Josh becoming an 18 points per game guy with lockdown defense, and maybe up to 4 or 5 assists per game. I don't really think he'll ever become the shooter that he may need to be, but if the Suns do their job correctly, he won't have to be the shooter, because they'll have Devin Booker and some of the other guys I'm going to mention later, such as Dragan Bender. Alright, the thing about Dragan Bender is he's super skilled, but at what point is it that you're just not talented, you actually do something with that talent? He can shoot the ball, he can pass the ball, and he has some sort of ball handling ability, like a small forward ball handling ability. And he's overall highly skilled, but only in flashes. You're not going to see him have a whole outing of just being amazing. There's always going to be that good and the bad. He's just flashes of potential. And the thing that I find most intriguing about Bender is his potential at the 5, because he spreads the floor well and he could take other centers off the bounce. And with that passing ability I talked about earlier, he'll be able to spread the floor, find open shooters and cutters, and I just think that would be a pretty interesting facet to the Phoenix Suns offense. And I think he can become a switchy defender because he has really quick feet. He moves his feet like a guard sometimes. So I believe he'll be able to switch on to multiple positions, which is something that's valuable. And I believe him at the 5, with Josh Jackson at the 4, Booker at the 3, or the 2, honestly. And then like maybe a shooter at the 1 position and another shooter at another position. That would work really well, because although Josh Jackson isn't really that good of a shooter, if he could ever become almost league average, like 34%, 35%, where teams have to somewhat respect that jumper, he'll be able to really abuse his defensive matchup at the power forward position, because he's way more athletic than pretty much any power forward. They're not going to be able to keep up with him because he's just too fast, and their lateral quickness won't just be enough for him. And then Dragan Bender spacing the floor, that'll leave the cup wide open for him or Devin Booker to drive to the hole and get fouled or something like that. And like I said before, Dragan Bender could be used as a passer in these situations and hit open cutters, or take his guy off the dribble and find an open shooter. There's just a lot of potential with Dragan Bender here. But the thing about him is he's super duper thin. And basically what I've seen the Suns try to do with him is force him to play the bigger guy, and that's a part of his development, not really to win games, but he'll play some center against guys like Nikola Jokic or a guy like Julius Randle who likes to bang down in the post, which will pretty much, it'll make him tougher for when he does pick up that weight, because once he does pick up the weight and all that other stuff, he'll have that toughness that another guy would not have had, because basically the Suns have been developing him for this moment. I don't really think he's ever going to become a rebounder, honestly. I just think he's going to be like Kristaps Porzingis, where the intangibles are there. He should be a good rebounder, but he's just not going to be. I think he'll hover around 7-8 rebounds a game. And as far as defensively, I don't think he's going to become a rim protector or anything like that. I just think he'll become one of those guys that can switch to a couple positions. Not really be your defensive anchor or anything of that nature, but you're not going to ask him to do that. I don't think he's going to be a negative, but I don't think he's going to be a positive either on the defensive end. I just like his switchability on that. And he tends to disappear a lot and be a bit timid with the ball. It's like his teammates ask him to shoot the ball, the coach asks him to shoot the ball. Pretty much everyone asks him to shoot the ball, but he just doesn't do it. He's just a bit too timid. But if he could ever become more aggressive, I feel like that would be a new avenue to the Suns' offense, because when he does shoot the ball, he's playing very well, believe it or not. These last couple of games, he shot around 9.5 shots per game, which you can round up to 10. And in doing so, he's been putting up pretty good stats, and it helps with his confidence, which is what you can clearly see. And against the Denver Nuggets with Nikola Jokic, you can really see that potential of him at the 5 spreading the floor, because pretty much Jokic couldn't really get out to him on the perimeter because he was a bit too slow. And Dragan was just banging threes, and then he could get past Jokic at the same time. Like if he were to get out in enough time, he'd just pump fake, go right by him, straight to the basket, or if someone rotated over, he can make a nice pass because he just has that ability. He's just that talented. I like Dragan Bender's potential, but we'll just see how quickly he puts it together, because I don't think the Suns are going to wait too long on him with the whole potential thing. Like, at what point does potential become production? It's what I pretty much see his situation being. Pretty much the last guy of this young core that the Phoenix Suns have put together is Marquise Chris. He's probably the most polarizing player out of these guys, because he has a lot of potential as a run and jump guy, defensive playmaker, and he's super duper athletic. Like you'll see him on a couple highlight reels throughout his career. And I just think he's a bit stuck in between the 4 and the 5, because he can't really shoot. So I don't think he can really play the 4 very well, but I don't think he's big enough to play the 5. And another, I guess, plus for him is he shoots the ball from 3, and I like that in some players because it just shows that they have the willingness to take the 3. But just because they shoot the ball does not mean they're good at it, which is exactly Chris's situation, because he's not good at shooting the ball, but he will do it. And one of the cons for him is he has that DeMarcus Cousins in Sacramento attitude, But the thing about Chris is he's not as good as DeMarcus Cousins was in Sacramento. So it's like, what do you have attitude for? You're a bad player on a bad team. And he's just had a bit of a attitude problem in Phoenix, and he's been benched a couple times because of it. Like I said earlier, he's a tweener, he can't shoot, and I honestly believe he might be the odd man out here due to his attitude problems and him simply just not being good enough, because they already have Josh and Bennett, who's producing a little bit more now, and they could draft someone who could fill Marquise's shoes. I can see him next year on the trading block, or after the draft on the trading block, depending on who they draft, because Marquise, he still has a lot of potential, but he also might have a bit of value on the trade market due to that same potential. And pretty polarizing. I don't really know what to think of Marquise Chris. He was one of my favorite players in that draft, but it's like, at what point is it just... That's a big theme that's going to be throughout the series. At what point does potential turn into production? And I don't think Marquise is ever going to like pan out to be what everyone thinks he can be. And next, we're going to go to the players that aren't necessarily part of the young core, but are young pieces, who are Elfrid Payton and TJ Warren. This is going to be pretty quick. I think Elfrid Payton is a highly effective backup point guard due to his lack of a jumper, but he also has that Rondo-like ability to make passes, get rebounds, be a nice on-ball defender. And I just think he'll become the best, or one of the best backups in the NBA from any position, just due to his talent level. And I think if you surround him with a bench unit that has shooting, that can space the floor around him, he'll thrive. I just don't think he's a starting point guard at this point in his career. I watched him with the Magic, and don't be fooled, Suns fans. He does things like this, where he plays extremely well, but like, it's a ruse. Next, we pretty much had to talk about the draft and who they should target and what they should be trying to get out of the draft. And pretty much, there's 3 players who I think they should select, because I don't think they're going to get like a top 3 pick or anything like that. I think they should take Jaren Jackson Jr., Mohamed Bamba, or Trae Young. But I also think that they should focus on defense and potential at the 5, because Alex Len and Allen Williams are bad. Plus, Tyson Chandler is old as dirt. Jaren Jackson can play the 5. He spaces the floor and adds defense. Bamba, when he comes into the NBA, he'll be an NBA-ready rim protector, which was something that the Suns really need, because Devin Booker is not the best defender, to put it nicely. And having a guy like Bamba or Jaren Jackson to clean up that mess with his shot blocking and shot altering abilities would really help the Suns out. And Bamba, he's going to come into the league, NBA ready rim protector with lots of potential on both sides of the floor. And I just think defense should be a focus with the Suns team. But if the Suns do end up taking Trae Young, I won't really be mad, because Young plus Booker equals buckets. But that may force the Suns to constantly be a below average defensive team. And Young has been a bit off lately, and he has had trouble against NBA level defenders or physical guys, so I'm not exactly sure how that'll project for him in the NBA, but I think he'll be fine. But I think Booker won't really fit in well with a guy like Trae Young, honestly. I think he'll do better with a guy like Patrick Beverley, who's more of a tertiary ball handler, to where it's like Booker can handle the ball most of the time. He can create his own shot. And since Booker does have that ball handling and passing ability, he can create for others. And I just think a guy like Bev, who won't demand the ball, plays defense and shoots the ball, and can relieve pressure as a ball handler off of Booker, would be extremely good. Like, I think that they should do that Kobe, Derek Fisher kind of thing, to where it's like, you're not the point guard. Like, Kobe was the primary ball handler pretty much, but it's like Derek Fisher could bring the ball to the floor, and he played his role extremely well. But if they are going to look into a point guard other than Trae Young, I think they should look into Anthony Simmons in the late first round with one of the picks that they acquired from, I believe, Miami. Because Anthony, he's going to be a project, he's skinny, but if he does reach his potential, he's going to be able to shoot the ball, play defense, be an athlete, and fit in pretty well next to Devin Booker, in my opinion. And I think he's worth the risk of taking him with a late first round pick or like the 19th and below pick, because I mean, what are they really gonna lose here with picking him? He has a lot of potential. He even got comparisons to Markelle Fultz before the whole shooting fiasco with Markelle, and he was a projected top 5 pick by NBA Draft.net, even though those aren't really accurate. And basically, what I'm trying to say with this video is the Suns need to develop their defense, develop what they already have, like Dragan Bender, Josh Jackson, make them reach their true potential, keep Booker happy, and hit a home run in the draft with their pick, because at that point I believe that the Suns will be set for the future. And that's it for me today. Alright, bye.